I'd like to show you something. This is a tweet from someone on Twitter by the name of Stonewall1776, and American history buff patriot, who tweeted a clip from the new Star Trek series. You guys know I'm a big Star Trek fan, but this is actually really funny. He tweets, "This is so pathetic. The new Star Trek show depicts what appears to be the January 6th protest leading to the end of the world and the human race as we know it. It is stupid." In this clip from the show, it's, what's his name? Captain Pike. He's talking to some alien race. I guess they have nukes or something. I didn't see the show. It's silly. But he says, "I can show you what will happen to your civilization because it happens to ours." He says, "It started with a fight for freedoms. And then, what does it show? Amazing. It shows audit the vote, January 6th, and then it shows Summer of Love, the George Floyd riots, before he goes on to say the eugenics war." And I'm like, that's really interesting. That's really interesting framing. He then talks about how it ultimately resulted in World War III. And I'm like, let me just pause there for a minute, buddy. How does civil rights protest in the United States result in us nuking someone else? Very poor writing, my friends. Come on, do a better job. You can argue that the conflict in the U.S. weakened it as a power in a multipolar world, resulting in a conflict that ended with the use of nuclear weapons and annihilation of good portions of the planet. Sure. But I do think it's funny that they showed January 6th. Now, Stonewall is criticizing this, but I think there's something else here that's actually quite humorous. They call it a fight for freedom. In the show, they say it started with a fight for freedom, and it shows January 6th. A fight for freedom, huh? That's a funny way to phrase January 6th in the media. Why would someone look at that negatively? I mean, I do think it's silly. But why would someone make the assumption that it was pro-establishment? It then says the eugenics war. Well, we all know that January 6th, whatever it was a failed riot, that some people are being charged with criminal conspiracy. I think some people have pleaded guilty to it. Some people are being acquitted, especially on trespassing and stuff like that, when they were led in by cops. But we'll see how this whole thing plays out. Suffice it to say, those that tried something on January 6th, whatever it may be, they failed. And then you get a eugenics war. Tell me, which political faction were the eugenicists? Oh, it was the progressives. The progressives were the eugenicists. Still to this day, elements of the eugenicist ideology exist within the progressive movement. It is the right that opposes abortion. It is the left. Iceland, for instance, using modern progressive ideology, they say, eliminated Down syndrome. I believe it's Iceland that did that, right? As if people with Down syndrome should not exist. That's not the right's position. The conservative or anti-abortion side is not in favor of just wiping out a type of person. Eugenics exists on the left. So if you take a look at this, whether intentionally or not, Star Trek's created a narrative where it started with a fight for freedom, they call it, which was January 6th. Funny way to frame it. And as we know, January 6th was a riot. It failed. It accomplished nothing. And then you get a eugenics war. If you were to ask me what they've created a narrative is, the right loses, the left wins, the left brings about eugenics wars. It's a TV show. It's silly. Maybe it's nothing, but it's all about a reflection on the modern political sphere.